What's up, guys? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. Welcome to Monday Accountability Chat. I'm so excited to have Cayley and Shawn here with me. We're going to get into a little bit about their background in a second, but this is a channel for resellers. I'm a reseller. They are resellers. I dedicate this channel to learning and growing your reselling platform, whether you're a side hustle to a full-time reseller, focusing on your numbers and being able to use them to empower you and make the most money that you can. So if you do like content like that, do make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to give me a like on the way out if you like this content. I do have this accountability chat every single Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard. It is open to anybody who would like to join. So if you would like to come on live on video feed, feel free to send me a DM and we will set up a day that works for both of us. And then always welcome in the chat as well to share about your week, how you're doing, and just touch base with other resellers, because it can be a very isolating job. So as we wait for some people to log on, I'm going to go ahead and let Cayley and Shawn introduce themselves. Why don't you guys give us a little bit about your background, if you're full-time resellers, part-time resellers, how long you've been doing it, anything else you think people would be interested in knowing.
Cayley, you want to jump in first?
Sure, I'll go first. My name's Cayley. Some of you might know me on YouTube, although I'm just kind of starting and getting the hang of YouTube. I like to say I'm a part-time, full-time reseller. I try to do part-time hours, but make a full-time income. And my goal is to work as little hours as possible while making a full-time income by using employees. I started reselling probably about 4 years ago, but it was very, very part-time while I worked my retail management job. And then eventually I quit that job, and now I do semi-full-time reselling for the past 2 years.
So this is like your only income stream though, right? Like you don't have a day job or something that you go to now. You did, but you don't.
I do have another part-time job working for my whole family does entrepreneurial things, and one of our family businesses, I'm the customer service manager. So I just work remotely from home, and it's about 20 to 25 hours a week, and I do get paid for that.
Okay, so you're busy.
I'm very busy.
If you're doing part-time hours, but maybe a little bit more reselling, and then that also. So you mentioned employees. I wrote that down. We're going to get to that in a minute because I do want to kind of touch base. I like having different people on with different backgrounds so we can all grow and learn from each other. Cool. And so you are on YouTube. And what is I was looking up your channel so I could put it in the links.
And it didn't. Elaine.
Okay, I will look it up. Shawn, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure.
And I'll see if I can't get. So
I am Shawn Bartley, hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been reselling since October 2016. I initially started this journey after listening to a Gary Vay podcast. He was actually on the radio. At that time, he was promoting an opportunity called the $100 for 100 items kind of, promotion. And he was just, touting the success of garage sales. And if you're looking to make some extra cash, buy low, go to a garage sale, go online, sell it high, go on Ebay, go on Poshmark, and kind of rattling off all these sites. And that for me was just an eye opener. Like I'd never gone to a garage sale before, didn't have anyone, friend, family who had ever gone or promoted it. So for me, it was just a new world of hunting. During my day job, I hunt. I'm a sales executive for a staffing company. So I'm hunting for opportunities, helping people get jobs. So for me, this was just a natural kind of segue to hunt for items that are underpriced and undervalued and, be able to make some extra cash online. So for me, it was a natural transition. Initially, me and my mom did it as just something fun for us to do together, spend a little time together. And then it took off on a life of its own, and it was no longer me and my mom. It was like, Mom, I think I got this. You know what I mean? And
you dissed your mom
a little bit. I was like, Mom, you might be slowing me down a little bit. I want to take this thing to another level. So she just is a big supporter. I'm a dad. I've got 2 very young kids under the age of 2. So time is of the essence.
Twins or different?
No, they're 18 months apart.
Oh,
So
me and my
two and
sister
a
are
half.
18 months apart, and I
Yeah.
can't
Yes.
imagine being a parent of that. My closest are 2.5 years, and I'm like, that's close.
That's close. That's close. But no, me and my wife, we decided, yeah, let's get
Knock it
these
out.
two. Yeah, let's get these two, as close as in age as possible. So full-time dad, part-time reseller, but to your point, Kaylee, trying to make a full-time income from it as well. And a full-time job as well.
Oh my God, you guys make me tired. So, and I don't think either of you mentioned, but where you're from.
I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I live in Atlanta.
Okay. We have, oh, I saw Rosalind. I don't think she's on here, but I saw one of your pictures. You did a live with Rosalind. So I knew you were in Atlanta. Now that you say that, I'm like, yeah, I knew that.
Yep.
It's hard to keep up with everyone in the
community.
community.
I get it.
So you had never, this is interesting because I find most people's stories are, I grew up thrifting, I love thrifting, I realized you could do it, and you had never really done it before or
At all.
that's wild.
Never knew it. I'd never stepped foot in a Goodwill until I decided to flip a few items on Poshmark and eBay. That was my first time. Yeah.
So
I
you
had
probably
this
had
association with Goodwills and just, thrifting and garage sales. I was like, it's people's trash. Little did I know.
For sure. It is totally.
It's people's trash, but boy, the saying is very true, and you see it when you go to a garage sale. One person's trash is another man's treasure, because sometimes you look at things, you're like, you're not selling that for $2, are you really? So it was fun to find those undervalued items and know that it's worth a lot more.
So was it hard for you to get outside of because I feel like people who didn't grow up thrifting or really knew it kind of had this mental, like, if something's wrong, like, I don't want to go to the thrift store, that's kind of like trashy. Like, was there any kind of like mental hump that you had to get over?
Absolutely. For me, it was a hunt. It was the thrill of a hunt. So I had the connotation or the idea that it was people's trash, but I knew very quickly that there's treasure within that trash. So for me, it's that pursuit of, I just want to find the treasure. I look at it as a treasure hunt. So it wasn't, ooh, this is icky, this is nasty, this is people's trash. No, I fortunately in Atlanta, there's, a lot of well-to-do areas. So you quickly learn the Goodwills and the garage sales in the nicer parts of town yield a pretty good result. So
yeah,
I was cool with it after the first time I went. I said, oh yeah, this will work.
Once something sells, you're like, it's cool.
I was like, yeah, this will work. This will definitely work. Yeah.
And Cayley, had you been, you didn't mention one way or the other, had you been thrifting your whole life, or is it new to you?
It was somewhat new. I lived in Arizona for a while when I was a kid. We moved around a lot because my dad was in the military. It wasn't until we moved back to Ohio, where my grandparents are, and my grandparents kind of introduced me to thrifting. And it wasn't really a hard transition where I was like, not wanting to go there because my whole family's been thrifty in a sense. But it was more so like, I felt like I was doing something wrong by trying to like buy something for a small amount and flip it. And that was the biggest hurdle for me to overcome for a while. Cause when I started doing it, I didn't know that reselling was a thing. So that transition for me was the most difficult.
Same.
Oh, go ahead, Shawn.
No, I said that was eye-opening for me as well, as you start to dig a little bit deeper into the YouTube channels and the heavier full-time resellers. You're like, wow, I had no concept of the money you could make, of the things you could do, even part-time, full-time. So yeah, that was the cool part. Just saying, okay, there's goals here. I can check a few boxes off the list of things that I'd like to do with this business. So yeah, that was an eye-opener for me too.
Well, and you can take it and leave it, right? Like if you have 20 hours this week, you can do it. And that's why I think so many people get into it, because it can be very flexible in how much you do it. And a lot of resellers are like us, kids at home, other jobs and whatnot, to be able to fit it in. And I think it's interesting that you guys touched on what you just said about kind of feeling guilty about buying something cheap and selling it higher. I'm on social media, but I don't really like pay that much attention. I'm kind of oblivious to something. But someone was telling me that there's kind of a controversy going on right now about people kind of getting down on resellers, like you buy it so low and you're taking advantage. And I'm in Colorado. Resellers, there's resellers everywhere. Thrifting's very prominent. I grew up thrifting. I was very ashamed of it growing up because I was like, oh, I'm gonna thrift store. I want new clothes like all my friends. But now I'm like, obviously all about it. But my brother-in-law's a reseller. My family all grew up thrifting. So like I've never had that side where people are like, why are you doing that? That's so weird. Or even people saying like, why are you selling it for what you're selling it for? So I don't know if you guys have anything else to touch on that. I just think it's kind of odd that people are saying that. It just doesn't like it just doesn't make sense to me because we work hard. Like it's
a lot of
time
steps.
and money. Yeah, it's not
a lot of steps to get a product from a yard or garage sale or Goodwill to them. There's a lot of steps. So I think, it's that part didn't faze me. I like the sales aspect of it. That's sales. You know what I mean? You find the service or the value and you charge what you need to charge to get it to them. And if you see value in it, then you pay it. If you don't, it's cool. No love.
Right. I'm not forcing anyone to spend this money on eBay.
Right. At all. Yeah.
I just learned about, same as you, Sarah. I mean, like I kind of felt that guilt, but I just learned recently from someone else's video on YouTube that does TikTok. And that's how I found out that there was like an anti-reseller community, which I didn't know about before. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I think some of the people too are anti, when they only have like 10 Xboxes and then all the resellers go buy the Xboxes and then they push the price up to like $500 or something stupid. I get that to a certain aspect, but like I'm going to thrift stores and like there is a ton of crap at thrift stores. I mean, they've never like closed down the doors and been like, sorry, we're out of inventory today. Even COVID times, like it's never been that way. All right, well, let's get into it. I did want, nope, that was it. I didn't want to touch on anything else. So let's talk, sorry. I take notes. I don't want to interrupt, but let's talk a little bit about, so you guys are part-time sellers, but you're kind of going for the full-time income. Feel free to share as much or as little numbers and stuff as you want. I don't want to pressure you into anything, but I kind of want to hear, because you guys are both kind of similar, some of your tips and tricks to spend less time and make more money. Cayley, you mentioned employees and kind of some of that. Shawn, I don't know what you do. I want to say too, Shawn I saw him on the Posh Fest. He did the Posh Fest, not Posh Fest Live, just Posh Fest 2020, talking about his inventory and stuff too. And I know when I fix some of my inventory and make that faster, it has actually allowed me to make more money too. So anything that you guys have tips and tricks talking about, anything that you can share, how to spend less time and make more money?
Yes.
So I just this year started seriously looking at like hiring helpers. And that has, in the past couple months, I've actually hired 2 people and it's really taken off. And I'm basically just trying to replace any tasks that I feel can be done by somebody else that I'm okay with letting go control of. I do, train them the way I want it done, but that was a big hurdle for me for a while, was being able to let go and let somebody else do it. So I'm finally to that point and it's become really successful. And the reason I looked at doing that is probably because I have retail management experience and been in management for a while. And so most of my career was managing other people, and I just like that business model. So I'm trying to apply it to my business now. And I kind of just ran out of time and still wanted to continue reselling. So it's going good so far. I just recently hired a photographer, was my most recent one, and she's doing good, and it's really taken a load off me.
So you have a photographer, and then you said you have another employee. What other tasks does the employee do?
So she started out as my drafter. She did everything on the eBay draft. I start everything on eBay because that is my main platform where I started reselling. and then I cross-list over to other platforms. So she originally started just doing the drafts for me. She didn't do pictures. She just filled out the title, item specifics, and then weighed the item for shipping. She didn't do prices or anything like that. And then basically she would fill that out, and then I would be doing pictures and setting the listing live with pricing. Since she started, which I think might have been roughly 4 or 5 months ago, maybe, that might be too long. Recently, she wanted more work, so I offered it to her. And so now she's taken over some VA tasks for me, such as she's doing like end listings on eBay that are going to be ending that day and doing a similar, reworking the titles to make it a new listing again. She sends out offers for me on both eBay and Poshmark. Trying to think of some other things she does. She's just doing a couple little VA tasks for me that are super tedious that I just don't want to have to worry about anymore, so that I can focus on sourcing and some more important things in my business. So she's kind of like a drafter VA right now.
And is it someone like in person, like you know her personally, or like you went to Fiverr and found someone to do it for you, or outsource, or all these other?
Yeah, everyone I've ever had help me has been an in-person. I've either known them personally, or they are a referral from a friend. And I prefer to do it that way. That way I can talk to them in person, show them things in person, and, have a personal connection with them.
Oh, and so I was going to ask how you found them, but they're all referrals. So are they like resellers already, or you teach them from scratch?
Some of them have, that's actually part of my interview questions with them is, have they sold on platforms before? A lot of them have like sold 1 or 2 things on Poshmark, but it was just from their home. So they have a little bit of experience, but it's mostly from scratch. They're not doing anything to resell on a reseller level.
And how did you decide what you want them to do? Like, because if you are a reseller, an entrepreneur, you're on YouTube. We are social media managers, we're CFOs, we're CEOs, we're sourcers, the list is endless of things that you can outsource to other people. So how do you kind of decide what you wanted someone else to do?
I basically just looked at what was taking the most time. And it's kind of selfish to say, but also the things that I dislike doing the most. So that was part of it. And I just tried to integrate that. And so far, drafting and the whole listing process in general is the most time consuming part, at least for me, except for shipping. I currently don't trust anyone to do my shipping yet, but I was willing to let go of the listing process. So that's just kind of how I worked it in. Anything that I felt I could let go of.
And you had mentioned before, it's like you're making money. It's worth your time, right?
Yes, I am still kind of in the growing pains because I just hired the photographer and I just made my drafter, more like a full-time role kind of. So I'm going through the growing pains, but I am already seeing results, and that's been going on for a few weeks now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I am a huge proponent of outsourcing. There's only so much time, and you can't do more unless you have more time. Right. And at some point you cap out. You guys both have other jobs. Shawn has a family. So I can speak to some of the stuff that I do as well, but I want to hear from Shawn what you do to kind of get it all done and make the most money that you can.
Sure. So for me, I've also got a VA. That helps me primarily on the Poshmark side of the business. At one point, I had someone that I found on Fiverr, lived, overseas, worked out from a budget standpoint. It made sense to kind of offload the sharing, because Poshmark, as I'm sure you know, is time consuming to share your entire closet. So for me, it's beneficial to outsource that, have somebody do it 3 times a day. It's funny, when the pandemic hit, I was like, let me experiment a little bit. March it hit. I kept that individual until about July. And I said, you know what? I'm home now. I've got time. Let me just do it myself. So I, cut ties with that individual, told him the assignment was ending. He was cool with it. I did it on my own. I I still didn't have the time to constantly share it's constantly growing. I'm constantly adding new items. That thing was tedious to do it 3 times a day. So I stopped and I said, all right, let's see if I'm still going to make sales without sharing it at all, or maybe once a day. And it suffered. My sales plummeted. So I saw the value in them at that point. I brought them back. Hey, what's going on? Hope all is well. Would you like to continue the assignment? So, he specifically just helps with sharing the closet. At one point, I had somebody cross-listing to Mercari and eBay. No longer doing that. I kind of, take time out, let's say in the middle of my day, because again, I'm talking to clients a lot all day and I'm speaking to, doing presentations, things like that, really in front of a computer. So after a conference is over or, on lunch break, I'll just share my closet or I'll, post some items on eBay. So I take my time during my day from work. Okay, snatch an hour on my lunch and just post a couple of items and put them in drafts for the next day. And that's kind of how I constantly just add. And I don't add a lot of items every single day. I do about 4 or 5 a day. It's just the consistency for me is what helps the algorithms. However, the eBay gods, have it set up to where that benefits you. I just want to make sure that it's consistent every single day. Poshmark is the same. I've tried platforms or different programs that cross populate, or they'll post to Mercari and then also post to eBay and you just one click of a button. Those didn't really, I saw glitches. It didn't work seamlessly. So I'm still in the process of just finding one that works well. So if, either you, Sarah, or Cayley have any suggestions of things that you've used or, something that might help with cross populating listings, I'm all ears because I'm still on the hunt. Again, that's one more thing I can take off my plate to just maximize my time. If I can list something one time and it jump on 4 different platforms, I will happily invest in that tool.
Yeah, that's ideal, right? Oh, go ahead, Cayley.
I was just going to say that I personally really love List Perfectly, but I think every program or whatever you want to call it that is doing cross-posting is all still in testing phases because it's new. Okay. So there are going to be glitches, and that's something that I've personally had to work through, some of those glitches, because it can be frustrating.
Sure.
But I personally really love List Perfectly, and I know they just came out with some new features, and you can actually list on there one time on their platform and send it to everywhere.
Oh, that's new. Because I go back and forth between List Perfectly and then I pay someone to do my listings. And when I was using List Perfectly, it was a couple of months ago and they didn't have that. But part of the, I don't want to say problem, but what they have to migrate through is they're connecting to different platforms. And from a back end, writing the program and everything, if let's say Poshmark changes how they do something, they have to completely rechange how they're interfacing and connecting. So it's constantly them having to put out fire drills essentially. And so I kind of understand that. I haven't used Vendoo. I do List Perfectly. I really appreciate Clara and Amanda. I think they're amazing businesswomen. I think they're very supportive of the community. Not to say Vendoo's not. I don't know anything about Vendoo. Really, I haven't worked with them, but I am definitely a List Perfectly person. And I do have a discount. I'm not trying to sell you, Shawn.
Right, no.
But if you want a discount
I'm okay
code,
being sold. If it helps the business, I'm cool.
Yeah, if you want a discount code, you can use mine, or I'm sure you can find one on other resellers. I don't care if you use mine or not. I don't care about a kickback, but just to try it out. But it's learning a new technology and things are constantly changing. I finally went to having someone list everything and then she cross lists for me because of time. And also I was like, well, you can use List Perfectly. And she was like, I don't like it. I was like, okay, I don't care, whatever you're going to do and you want to do.
Right.
And that's kind of been my thing too, is, time is money. There's only so much time. I want to grow other aspects of my business. I also have 3 kids that are remote learning at home. Okay. So I'm also kind of like a full-time teacher
you
too,
are
right?
Full-time teacher, principal, lunch lady, all of that.
Yes, right. I know. And so just having someone list, like you mentioned on eBay, the consistency, you have to be consistent with the listings and having someone else list for me is absolutely been worth it because it allows me to be consistent. And I do want to mention, both of you guys kind of talked about photos. Shawn, you mentioned like you just, to do a couple listings a day. Do you make sure to have photos ready, or how do you kind of figure it out so that you're able to stay consistent?
Sure. So for me, it's my Sundays and Wednesdays. And if I can sneak in, Sunday nights and Wednesday nights, I'm snapping photos. I'm trying to take about 100 photos if I can, during those days. And then
100 items?
100 items, yeah.
I'm shocked.
I know. All day. How many?
That's that would, again, when I put a nice channel on Spotify and I just lock in, because again, my kids are going to wake up at a certain time, as you already know, regardless of what time I went to sleep or not. So I just really try to cram it in. And again, I don't have the time 7 days a week to dedicate to it. So I really do have to just put in as much as I can. And if I can listen, and maybe I said this incorrectly, it's 100 between those 2 days.
Yeah, but still, that's 100 a week. That's still a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And sometimes I don't get up that money, but for the most part, it's anywhere between 80 to 100 for that week is what I'm because I want to have as much in the queue or the pipeline, so that when I am at work and I'm kind of sitting there and it's in between a call, I can put up 4 or 5. You know what I mean? And I can do that pretty consistently. So yeah, that's what helps me. It's really only 2 days out the week that I'm taking photos.
Yeah. Cayley, what about you? I mean, you have a photographer now, so she does batch work, or how does that?
Yeah, so before I had her, I was doing about 50 to 75 items photography myself a week, and I would do the same thing. I would try to get them all done in one day, sometimes 2 days. But for me, batching is, I have to do it or it doesn't get done. Now I've got my photographer. Currently, she's coming over for roughly 4 hours a week, and she's getting right now with her pace, she's doing about 70 items in those 4 hours, but that's taking the photos, editing them, and uploading them onto the draft for me. So she's getting quite a bit done, which I'm really happy with. But yeah, we do batch work for sure. We try to get it all done at once. And I personally like to have the photos done before the drafts get finished. I just feel like it makes my workflow go better, but I know everybody's different.
Yeah. We do have a question, and if you guys don't feel comfortable answering it, I completely understand. Can be kind of a touchy subject. Hi, can you expand on the VA sharing your closet? Do you have any concerns about sharing your login info?
I'll speak to it just from the sense of mine are all complete strangers. I get them from Fiverr, and fortunately, knock on wood, I've gone through, or I've had about 4 or 5. None of them, no bad experiences. I've had 2, well, actually 1 in particular that was just like, listen, this is more work than I anticipated. Don't have the time. I'm also a college student. I've got sports, and yeah, this isn't going to work. She lasted 2 days, but fortunately, everyone just, deletes my information. I do change it. I do tweak the password after someone has, finished their assignment. But fortunately, I've never had anyone, mess with my titles or listings or try to take any information. No, I've been fortunate in that regard.
I haven't done anything on Fiverr or Upwork or any of those sites, but do they have like protection as you you can see screens or any kind of like protection that you feel a bit more comfortable with hiring people you don't know?
Yeah, so you can see screens, and that is a new update. I'd say in the past maybe 4 or 5 months, you can then share your screen and kind of, they can walk you through how it looks on their end when they log into your account, how you'd like for them to upload items or pictures and what you need them to write. So, I mean, yeah, you do have and again, I think ratings are important too. It's no different than Yelp. Would you feel comfortable going to a 5-star 2,000 rated restaurant, or the new place that opened up the block, 2 listings and they're 2.5 stars, so you can kind of gauge just how seriously a person or a VA is going to take the assignment and not compromise getting a terrible rating and terrible feedback, because this might be their full-time income, especially overseas, you know? So yeah, some people don't, I haven't had an issue with that because the rating system at Fiverr is held in high regard.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that too. I haven't done it, but I've heard that as well. Cayley, what about you?
So I do have somebody share my closet, but I use Reseller Assistant, which I know, I mean, someone sharing a closet in general is very controversial right now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, people are really unhappy if you tell them that you have somebody share your closet sometimes. But it takes forever. So I'm having somebody do it. But I currently use Reseller Assistant. I tried a couple other websites, I guess you would call it, or services that I didn't really like. And then once I got with Reseller Assistant, I've been with them ever since. So they are basically just a VA service solely for the purpose of sharing Poshmark closet. I'm not really concerned with privacy because I actually did a test. The only thing I'm really worried about is like my bank account information and my payout information. So I kind of walked through the process of what would it look like if somebody were trying to change my bank information. And first of all, they can't even see, they only see the last couple digits. And then, if they go to change it, they have to go through a couple steps. You're going to get notified, an email's going to go through. Like, it's just, there's so many steps you would know before they changed any of that information. So I'm very comfortable with it, and I've been with them for quite a while, and I've seen really great success with them and having somebody share my closet.
And I do want to say that I appreciate you guys being so transparent with this because, like you said, Cayley, there is a lot of controversy in the community right now, but it does take, I mean, I have 800, 900 at listings. I mean, it takes like an hour and a half to share my closet. You have to do it 5 times a day. That's my day, right? Which you can do, but if you want to take it up a notch and you want to step up a level, I think you do have to find ways to figure out how to do that. But you have to figure out what is going to work for you and what's comfortable. So I do appreciate that you guys are transparent and telling people how you do it to kind of help other people get some ideas as well. Just checking in with the chat a little bit, Leslie. If you guys don't follow A Reseller's Passion, you have to follow her. You don't have to, but you should. She's amazing. She does batch photo work. I take photos 2 days a week as well. I put on a pot of coffee and challenge myself to take around 20 or 30 photos in 15 minutes. Wow, you guys are like beasts. I feel like I'm like great, and then you guys are like make me feel like I hardly do anything. Chelsea is saying I batch photograph. I try to pump through 30, 40 items 2 days a week. So it seems like most people are batch photo. So if you're kind of a new reseller, try that out. I also batch as well. I definitely find that it works best because you get into a flow. So I can usually do a lot more photos. I have photo like a place set up, so I don't have to like set stuff up every time I take photos. But if you're in a position where you have to like set everything up, if you only have to do that one time as opposed to like every day, you're saving time. I do it with kids, so sometimes I can do a lot because they're playing quietly. But oftentimes it's interrupted multiple times. But I try and do like 2 to 4 hours a week and get as many as I can done during that time. Leslie's saying, I never worry about controversy. Controversy doesn't pay my bills.
I like that.
I like that, Leslie. I like it. I agree with you 100%.
It's totally valid. I just do want to make sure that people, if you're new to Poshmark, are aware of the terms and services. Read through those and see what you feel comfortable with. Because I think that's part of, there's some controversy because there's just drama and there's drama, but then also like just make sure that you know what you feel comfortable with as far as that goes. I did want to talk, so we were talking a lot about Poshmark, sharing your closet. It takes a lot of time, but you guys are both on other platforms as well. And we talked a little bit before the chat about eBay, but I want to talk about the other platforms that you're on, which one it brings in the most income for you and kind of how you manage all of them.
You can go first, Shawn.
Sure. So for me, eBay is my breadwinner. eBay doubles what I do on Poshmark. In the beginning of my reselling career, Facebook Marketplace was an amazing resource because at that time I sold larger items. I sold more furniture pieces, electronics, that type of thing. So Facebook Marketplace was a great platform to just get cash immediately. And that there's no percentages taken out. It was all local, didn't have to ship anything. So it worked out for me. Mercari, as I mentioned earlier, I may get 3 or 4 sales every quarter on Mercari. It's not a big focus of mine. I don't list very often on it. It's a lot of just older listings that I have on it, just still there. Once in a blue, like I had something sell this week, and that was just, whoa, this thing is still active for me. It's still, I forgot all about this item. So, that
Now I have to go find it. That's how my son is. Old stuff, I'm like, crap, where did
right.
I put that?
Fortunately, everything is in one concise room, so I don't have to, dig too much or dig too far for it. But so for me, the breadwinner is eBay. Got about 500 live items on eBay right now. And my objective is to sell a higher priced item so I don't get kind of any and everything on my page. So that it's a slower sale, but for me, it's the dollar amount is worth it. I'm trying to stay between ideally $50 to $60 per item in terms of a sale. So again, that's not a quick sale every single day type of thing, but with enough listings, it definitely works out. So eBay is the cool one. Poshmark is the fun community site for me. You get a good you meet friends, you meet resellers that like yourself, Sarah and Cayley, who it's more of a community, quite honestly. So Poshmark is cool for the community, but certain items and listings and titles do better on Poshmark than it does on eBay for sure.
So you said the high SP, you go for like $50 to $60 items. I want to talk to this just quickly for people that are listening. As Shawn mentioned, it tends to sit longer. So the higher your ASP, the lower your sell-through rate, which is definitely a strategy that you can take. And if you have less time and you have access to these higher, or you have the knowledge to find them, you can ship out one package for $60 instead of shipping out 6 packages for $10, right? So I want to ask you a couple more questions to dig into that a little bit, because it's definitely a strategy that works, but you have to be able to find that inventory, right? And it's definitely harder to find those items. So what kind of things do you focus on, and any tips or tricks? Obviously, without giving away all your secrets, do you have to kind of?
So for me, I do a little bit of consignment. So I do have individuals that know what I do, and they are interested in moving some of their higher end leather goods, shoes, bags, business suits. And of course, you have to make kind of a switch of the type of items that you're selling, especially in the times of that we're in right now with the pandemic. Business suits don't fly off the racks like they used to, you know what I mean? So for me, it's now more electronics. So electronics, just by virtue of people will spend $80 to $150 on a combo VCR DVD player, and I may get it for $10, $15. That in and of itself is worth the wait for me, and that may take 2 or 3 months, but it absolutely will sell. So yeah, fortunately, Atlanta is a market that you just need to go to a couple of nicer areas, and you will see St. John's in Goodwill. You will see Patagonia's. It's nothing to blink an eye when you see higher end, nicer items in the Goodwills out here. You do pay about $5-6 per item, but to turn $5 into 50, to me, it's worth it. It's worth it. So yes, there's really no shortage, I would say, of viable options to find higher end, nicer items out here.
So how did you, because you are new to thrifting and new to this whole world, how did you learn what sold? I mean, did you just jump in and start selling things and see, or did you watch YouTube videos, or did you what was your process?
I'm a jumping guy. I grossly underpriced. I remember my first sale was a pair of Lululemon pants, and I went to a huge estate sale here in Atlanta, definitely $1 million home. And this, young lady had about 15 pairs of Lululemon pants laying on the counter, and they were about $3 each. had no idea that what they were, had no idea that it would sell. So I hesitantly picked up 2 of them and said, I'll take these. And that was it. I left the other 13 that were there on that table. Unbeknownst to me, I put it up on Poshmark that day. That item sold, I think, within 2 hours. From that moment, I said, ooh, this is cool. You know what I mean? This is really, really cool. I like the speed at which this thing moves. So that for me was just the awesome part of just, and then you really learn trial by error. In the beginning, I sold a lot more jeans. I slowly got away from that because I started to time myself in the stores, and I realized, okay, I'm spending too much time in aisles or for clothing items that aren't yielding a high enough average sale price. So I'm thinking kind of, analytically like that. What am I spending my time in that's not yielding a large enough result? Let me ixnay that and go to jackets, leather goods, where the bags, where the shoes. You can get shoes for $5, and my average shoe sale is about $50 on average. So for me, it's worth it to spend more time there and learn about shoe items and different men's styles that sell well throughout the year, boots and different brands. And fortunately, some of that is going to come with you bought an item that's just completely trash and no one wants it. And you're sitting on it, for 3 years, 2 years. And you're like, okay, I'll probably never do that one again. Maybe it's the color, maybe it's the style. And you kind of learn trial by error for me.
Yeah, that's how. So my husband jumped in too, just to call me out and said, I'm definitely a jump in type too. Yeah. That's absolutely and there's no right way. I like to hear how people do it. A lot of people, I watch hauls and I learn the labels, and I was like, no, I just bought stuff. And you can start, I grew up thrifting, so you can feel quality, right? So I'd feel quality. I'm like, oh, I've never heard this brand before, but I can tell that that's nice quality. We're definitely speaking to, we lost Shawn. Hopefully he can hear. You're definitely speaking to me as well about the analytics and what takes the most time and how to strategically plan, because we all don't, it is limited time. Even if you do it full time, 40 hours, you have limited time as well. So Cayley, I forgot. Oh, we're talking about eBay and kind of how we're talking about eBay. If you have any, eBay, I think, is one of your main platforms as well. If you want to talk a little bit to eBay and what kind of things that you sell as well.
eBay is definitely my main platform. Although I will say, since I've moved everything on over to Poshmark, some months are neck and neck between eBay and Poshmark. So those are kind of my main ones right now. I tried Mercari. I don't really like Mercari, but I think it's because I'm not focusing on it. I've only moved a couple items over there, and I'm not really giving it the chance it deserves. But I felt like I was spreading myself too thin. So right now I'm just heavily focused on eBay and Poshmark. And then if some of the items that I've already listed on some of those other platforms, when I was spreading myself too thin sell, then kind of like Shawn said, occasionally I'll have a sale every couple of months and I'll ship it out, but they're just not a focus for me. I currently sell clothing, shoes, accessories. Sometimes I'll sell home goods, but I'm not very proficient in it. But it is something that I'm working on this year. And every time I go to the thrift store now, I go to the hard goods section and I pick something up and research it. And I try to learn a little bit about it. So it's something I'm trying to tap into.
I think it's a great strategy, and I've told myself I'm going to do it, and then I go to the section and I'm like, this is boring. I don't want to be here. And so then I don't. But so my brother-in-law, like I said, is a reseller. And over the summer, when eBay moved to managed payments, he was like, I don't want to deal with that right now. I just don't. So he was consigning stuff with me. So I learned some stuff through him because he does a lot of that. And it almost made me want to do it because it sells high. If you know what you're doing, especially right now during the pandemic, there is a big shift towards that. And almost made me want to do it, but then I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy it. I do mostly shoes, purses, clothes, and I'm actually kind of scaling down how much I'm reselling, limiting my time to kind of focus on other aspects of the business. Leslie is... Oh, go ahead.
Quick question. Do you also do men's and women's, or are you primarily in the women's space?
I'm mostly women's. I did focus on men's, which is why, because I saw that you do a lot of men's tennis shoes. And if you know that, game, you can make so much money. Men's tennis shoes are like, if you know what you're looking for, I've tried men's a little bit. And last year I was really focusing and kind of doing what Cayley did. I would buy, maybe 10% of what I would buy for my trip would be men's to kind of learn what sold, but I just don't get joy out of it.
Okay.
And I find men's is hard too. I mean, if you have tips too, because I know you do a lot of men's. Men's, I find when I look at the thrift store, most men I feel wear their stuff to the death. Like women wear something once or twice and then they're like, cool, I want something new. I go to the men's section and I'm like, well, there's 5 pairs of jeans and they all have holes and stains on them.
Gotcha. We're like big toddlers. Is that what you're saying, Sarah?
No, I'm just saying, I mean, yeah. From my husband's perspective, most men don't necessarily care, and I don't think they're so into fast fashion, right? Which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It's probably actually better for the environment that you guys don't. And it's probably really bad that I'm like putting all men into one bucket. But if you have any tips on men's stuff, I'd love to hear it. I'm always open, and I'm sure others as well.
I think specifically with men's shoes, leather goods, they're very brand heavy. I find that I just don't yield as much money with women's shoes, and they sit longer too, because you guys have far more options, quite honestly, to get a style, to get a shoe, to get a pair, and men not necessarily. If it's a size 13 and it's a Nike and they want it, they're not searching 5 or 6 different sites knowing that they could get it, so they just get it from you. So I find that they're very brand heavy when it comes to men's leather goods, leather shoes. We're talking Johnston and Murphy's do well. Other brands that I can think of, Coach, if you're able to find Coach. For men's shoes, those do pretty well. Any Ralph Lauren, especially lower loafers, tassel heels, brogue, Oxfords, those styles in particular, because you can dress them up with jeans, you can dress them down, so it's a bit more versatile. Also with boots, you've got the Durango boots do well, Timberland boots do well.
I do. We sold those.
Yeah, anytime you have steel toe, hard toes, things that people are, that even though you may think we're in the middle of a pandemic, people need that because they know they're going back to work. And quite honestly, I'm in the space of hiring manufacturing and engineering personnel for my the staffing agencies. That business is up, regardless, pandemic or not. That people are hiring, so they need work attire. So you're finding that the steel toes, anytime you can find something that has some type of PPE built into it, you're going to sell that for top dollar, no question. So I think just finding men's shoes that are good quality leather goods, and they're easier to dress up to. You just dress the heel in a black heel or dress it in brown. They don't need much. They really don't. You just need to shine it up, throw some of this on there.
Yes, I just did some of that today. You can't see. I use it on my purses. Some shoes, but I use it on purses too. I think the thing too, for me at least, well, one thing you touched on is how men shop. And I think that's very valid. There's not as much, like women's is definitely saturated.
Yes.
So you have a lot more competition, and my husband absolutely, I'm just speaking to my husband. So I'll just call him out and not stereotype all the men. But my husband is like, he would never think to send an offer until I told him like, well, send an offer for like 20 or 30%. He's like, well, this is the price. I'm just going to pay it. Right. And I think from some of the men's stuff that I have sold, it's very much like that. Or even when I send an offer, it's not to the extent. Yes. Right. So it is. I mean, I think you have definitely valid points. I just don't. The other thing is I've been researching women's stuff my entire life. Right. So like, I'm like, well, I don't know how I know. And, my husband's like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I don't know, probably because I saw it in a magazine I was looking at. Like, I don't, we're men, I had to like actively go and look. But I think it's valid points to be getting into men.
Yeah.
Cayley, do you do men's?
I do. I'm not as much of an expert on men's shoes, but I do sell men's shoes. I mainly sell men's fashion though, really big into jeans, jackets. I would honestly, if I could find enough stock, I'd probably only sell men's because the sell-through rate is there. And, you know, to Shawn's point and to your point, usually, even though they do wear it out, they know exactly what they want and they're willing to pay more for it. And I just personally, all the thrift stores that I go to, the men's section is not big enough. And I don't have enough time to travel far enough to only get men's, but I would totally do it if I could. I absolutely love selling men's stuff.
Lori's saying, Shawn, that you need a YouTube channel. He's so easy to listen to. I agree. And this is why, I mean, I love listening to you. I only caught the end of your Posh Fest, but I was like, I need this guy on my YouTube channel because you also bring a different aspect. What's that?
I said, no, that's something to consider. Don't tempt me with a good time now.
Oh, you should do it because I think you also have a lot of information to share as well. You're very, I'm going to say, I think you're very analytical. So I obviously vibe with it because I think the same way. But I think that it's definitely, I mean, in all your free time, go ahead and get on social media.
The surplus of hours that I've got.
Yes, it is a full-time job, which is why I'm kind of scaling down my reselling too. And my husband's saying peer pressure. It's how I got on YouTube. Everyone told me I should, and here I am.
Is that right?
Yeah, so clearly I missed that lesson in high school that you shouldn't listen to peer pressure. All right, so we are, I know, here I am. So sometimes it can be good, right? So we are wrapping up. I don't know if you guys have anything else that you do want to share. We didn't really talk accountability. Like I said, we probably wouldn't get there. I knew you guys would have lots of things I wanted to talk about. But if you have any last things. Oh, no, I did have one more question. I want to ask if you were to, someone is like, I want to get on eBay. What is like one thing that you would tell them for eBay? Like one tip.
I would say that you have to commit to being consistent and having activity every day, because Poshmark, you can list things and then you could just share and probably make sales, but on eBay you can't do that. You have to do everything. You've got to list, you've got to send out offers, you've got to ship frequently. It just really, they say feed the beast. You have to do consistent things every day to be successful.
Yes. But also I don't want to, because that could be daunting too. You know, every day you need to do something every single day. It sounds overwhelming. And I realize something as small as just 2 listings makes a difference. And to your point, Cayley, it's just the consistency, but I don't want you to think consistently large numbers or a large time commitment. It's just consistent and small efforts. Will certainly help the algorithms and help you get sales. I find just the clarity of pictures. When I look at the men's resellers, or just, you know, I look across all, you know, genders and types of styles that people are selling. And those who are, you know, doing 15, 20, 30 sales a day, their pictures are crystal clear. Crystal clear. So for me, it's having that little space, or that whatever it is, you don't have to have an expensive setup at all. I do not. But it's just, you know, your camera phone and sufficient lighting and a clear white background, ideally. And yeah, clarity of pictures. People feel a lot safer in buying from you if they know the true color. You also get far less questions too. What's the true color? Is this blue? I can't see. Can you take a picture of the tag? If you're doing all of that already, far less questions, quicker sales. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. And so I put measurements in the pictures and and eBay actually has updated their item specifics. I'd assume for men's as well, but you now have to put in the fabric content. And so I take a picture because I send it to my lister, so she knows what the fabric content is, but then it's in the listing as well, because they only let you pick one fabric, and oftentimes clothes are made out of multiple fabrics. And then we're all busy too. You don't want to, sometimes I forget, and in the middle of doing something, someone's like, hey, what are the measurements of this? I'm like, oh, well, crap. So I definitely, yeah, I mean, I think that's good advice for all platforms for sure. But definitely eBay, the white background. So the white background to Shawn's point, eBay, and then also Google and Pinterest pull with a white background if everything's clear. And so that's why most resellers will say to have a white background. Poshmark doesn't matter as much because their search engine works slightly differently. However, Google and Pinterest still pull from Poshmark. So if you want to come up in the search outside of Poshmark, you want to make sure. I know you guys probably know this. I'm sharing this for new people on the channel. So Poshmark, it'll bring you new people that are maybe searching in Google or searching Pinterest, bring you to your Poshmark closet. Because a lot of new resellers, I feel like, try to make it look, you know, very aesthetically pleasing, which is fine, but it's not going to pull in Google, or if you're on eBay, in eBay as well. My one tip, because I really did struggle with eBay, I was pretty consistent for 8 months, but I was not really getting the sales. I honestly gave away inventory for a full month. I mean, I was making like $2 an item, and normally I'm like a $40 average sale price person, because I wanted eBay to be like, okay, this lady's like making sales, we'll give her traffic. So it was kind of rough that month because I didn't make money on eBay for a full month. But now I'm making 4 times the amount that I make on Poshmark. So it was kind of like a log end game. You could probably do it, you know, consistently and slowly build up. But I was like, let's hammer this out. I'm just going to like make eBay think that I'm better than I am and sell all kinds of crap to get more stuff, because sales make more sales. If you're constantly, I think one of you mentioned, you know, shipping out items, eBay's going to be like, okay, this person has good stuff. I want to continue to promote them, to show them. Duncan's taking credit for my Pinterest. Duncan has lots of really good information on eBay as well. He definitely helped me as well do well on eBay. eBay tip is to list more. I'm doing a video, it should probably come out in the next week or two, talking about you don't have to have a big closet to make a full-time salary, or even the amount of money that you want. There's other variables that you can mess with, which is something that I do. I don't have space for 10,000 items. Like
most don't.
right. And a lot of part-time sellers as well. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining and letting us, sharing, being very transparent and sharing lots and tips and tricks. I'm really grateful that you came on and spent your evening with us. I know you guys are both so very busy. If you have anything else that you want to share, feel free. I will actually, if you guys, because we have bedtime after this and then I'll probably forget, feel free to come back after when this goes and leave your guys' links in the comments so people can comment. So people can link straight there. And if you guys have anything else, feel shameless self-promotion. If you're doing a sale or you want people to go to your Instagram or your YouTube, whatever it is, feel free to shamelessly self-promote you.
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. MISTA _thrifter, THRIFTER. That's the Instagram handle. On Poshmark, you see it here next to my name at SPB481. Yeah, that's all my shameless plug that I've got.
I will put your Instagram in.
Okay.
Cayley, anything?
I don't have a shameless plug. I'm Cayley Elaine on YouTube, but I'll go back on since my name's spelled kind of weird, and I'll put it in the comments later.
Okay. I think I shared, if you guys are watching this later, I think I did share both of your Instagrams into the live feed. Awesome. But do feel free to come back on the comments. It usually takes a little bit for the video to process before it'll be available, but feel free. Thank you guys so much. It was such a wonderful chat. I learned so much. I hope everyone else did as well. And I really do appreciate, I love having these because we all have a different aspect. I love the reselling community because you don't get a degree in reselling, right? Everyone kind of comes with a little bit of a different background. Obviously yours is in sales, Shawn, that was very apparent. Cayley, you have great information with the employees and bringing that in. So I really love having these Monday chats, talking to different people and just getting a different aspect. And then also just talking with people, right. Because as resellers, we're kind of like very isolated, especially right now, because we can't be going to these, you know, Posh and Sips and whatever it is. So you guys are both welcome back. Any one of these Monday meetings that you would like to, just send me a DM. And anybody else that would like to join, just send me a DM and we will schedule a time on Monday that works for both of us. If you guys like content like this, do make sure to subscribe and hit the bell as well. I have a couple really fun videos coming out, as well as I think me and Chris are doing our video this week. I think I've hit my goal. I am at 10K for the month, which is like ridiculous. So if you follow my channel, me and Chris from Daily Refinement have been doing a mentorship. So I think we're going to kind of wrap that up if we can figure out our schedules for the week to do that and maybe work on a collab in the future. So if you do like to watch those videos with me and Chris, make sure to hit the notification so you can see when that comes out, and lots of other really fun videos. And my course, it should be wrapped up hopefully this week, maybe into next week, depending how the beta test goes, because I'm a web developer now too. But when you're an entrepreneur, you get to take it all on. And I'm figuring out, I'm figuring out how to build a website. So thank you guys so much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Thank you,
Sarah.